I'm going to start off, or this whole discussion will start off with Mr. Kartikeya Sarabhai, who is he is known to everybody here. In fact, between Kartikeya and Marian, they put together this fantastic conference. Kartikeya is the founder and the director for the Center of Environmental Education, where we are currently his guests. This is a national institution engaged in the promotion of environmental education throughout India and also the world. It has 40 offices across India, and it now also has offices in Australia and Sri Lanka and links with other countries like South Africa. Outside of Kartikeya's work, Kartikeya is also a person, and he's a person of great integrity, and he has a commitment and a compassion to strive for an ethical award, and this hasn't gone unnoticed. He's been honored internationally in 2005, for example. Out of many other awards, he received the World Human Rights Promotion Award. He's had many awards from IUCN and other partners. And I'm not going to say Hail Saint Kartikeya, but I'm going to ask him to give us an address. Thank you, Kartikeya.
Thank you, Rosina. Thank you for all those words. I thought I would start by just relating an incident. I have a little puja at home where we pray, and this lady arranges the flowers in a certain way every morning, and those flowers face me. Then one day she was on leave, and another person who works in the house arranged the flowers, but exactly in the opposite direction. They faced away from me, and this other lady, first lady, came in a little late and said, "Look how silly this one is. She's not done it right," and changed them all around. So I called both these ladies and tried to understand what is the logic. The first one sees the flowers as essentially shanghar or ornamentation to the gods, and therefore she puts them with the image, but they're facing outwards. The other one sees it as an offering, and therefore they face the deity and doesn't face you. And it was a very interesting understanding it was a long logic, but to understand that. And what I found in all my work is that most people who do things do it with a logic and do this with integrity. It's only that their logic is not necessarily your logic. It's a different logic. And surprisingly, or perhaps not so surprisingly, even a 3-year-old child behaves that way. They have a very complex reason why they do what they do. But because we don't have the patience to see that logic, we immediately say that this is right and this is wrong. And it's very easy to do it and get them to follow the so-called standard way of doing it, or the standard practice. The ethics of it also is embedded in that logic, because the values are embedded in what people do. And listening to that is, I think, one of the most critical things we should do, and that is how we give respect to the other person of why they do what they do. Dr. Kamala Chowdhury, who was responsible for me being so directly associated with the Earth Charter, she had called me one day and she said, "How much do you know about the Earth Charter?" And I mentioned a little bit, and then she told me some more. And she said, "I think I want you to meet Stephen at some stage." And that was the last conversation I did have with her, till many months later I got a letter from the Earth Charter saying, would I be associated in a more formal sense with the Earth Charter. But she also said something else on that day to me. And that was that she said that, "Kartikeya, I wanted to do a ESD volume but which I wanted to call voices. And she said, what you need to do, I want all of you at CEE and others to just go and listen to voices, and not with a structured questionnaire, which already has so many assumptions in it that people only give answers accordingly. But like those flowers, don't dictate it. Understand what they do and understand the logic which goes behind that. And I think that was one of those very important learnings for me, and I thought I would share it today with you. When the whole idea of CEE happened, with the Ministry of Environment just starting in Delhi, and Dr. Khoshu, who was then Secretary Environment, coming here and seeing some of our work, we were doing a little bit of this, and we had something on flowers. Where you are sitting here was where another friend had shown us snakes. We had seen birds coming in. We had known Dr. Salim Ali, who came here, and he had told us that if once these trees reach maturity, so-and-so birds will arrive. And exactly when those trees achieved that maturity, those birds arrived. And it showed us the regenerative capacity of nature. And much of what we talk about and learn is, in fact, from the surroundings. But those surroundings, as teachers, also showed that nature has a way of influencing the way we think and the way we decide. I can assure you that the discussions we are having now, had we do it in a completely different environment, we might come to different things than when we talk and we look up and we see a squirrel coming in. Yesterday at this wonderful music concert, it was nice to see all the lovely images which you projected, but at the same time there were some sounds of our own, of Ahmedabad, which were being added to the sounds of the rainforest of Brazil. In that harmony. When this center was being formed, we were asked what were some of the critical things which you needed to do. And me and my colleagues here, we did think about these, and one of the first ones we mentioned was partnerships. We realized that however large an organization you might be able to build, it's going to be a drop in the ocean for what needs to be done. And the only way to do this tremendous task is to build partnerships, and partnerships not across only organizations which have a similar point of view, but partnerships with a number of people, partnerships with practitioners, with academics, with groups at the village level, with organizations such as zoos and museums, partnerships with business houses and others. And that has been an underlying philosophy of what we do. Another issue which we had was that we needed tools for education. For ESD, we needed tools. And when we thought of tools, we said, how can we make tools which will apply to these various different constituencies which we serve? We were looking for a sign of inspiration. And it was a year after we were formed, I was to speak at the North American Association. And I was trying to find some inspiration for that, and I said the inspiration we get is from the Indian sari. The sari is a designed piece of cloth. It's something, there are saris which take 5 months to make. So it's a highly designed piece of cloth. But yet, it still leaves it to the lady who wears it to bring her own personality into that garment. And the other thing is it's a piece of cloth which fits every person, every woman in India, for that matter, every woman or every man in the world. And so that was that combination of designing a tool, designing something, designing an educational material, but which also matches a tool. I wanted to also end by saying that a third one which we really learned was that we need to adapt materials. Materials don't read the same way. We had a job at that time with a task of an exhibition at the National Museum of Natural History, and there was an exhibit on the owl. And the English was how wise the owl was. Owl in Hindi translates as ullu. And if I just say that people should be as wise, ullu means not wise, but it means almost stupid. And if I say you should be like an ullu, has a completely different meaning than you should be like as wise as an owl. And so we have to look at cultural context and adapt material. And what I've been hearing in these meetings is that the Earth Charter, while the main text of the Earth Charter, it remains what it is as the inspiration, when you have to transact that with business, or you have to deal with it with school children, or you have to deal with Earth Charter with rural communities, you have to have a tool which talks in that language. It takes that essence, but still takes it into different languages. And I hope that as we go forward, we've been here through different workshops, weaving the threads of environmental education, ESD, and the Earth Charter, and many others together. And it's like a tapestry which is coming together, and each thread makes it more powerful. And one thread which was really missing in much of ESD work was, we thought, the ethical framework. And we hope that with this conference, and as we go towards 2014, we will be able to achieve that and bring the Earth Charter and the ethical framework right in the center of ESD. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kartikeya.